So it's like synced. We can sync it from here.
Nice.
We can start sort of whenever. Really.
Yeah.
I don't know when you want to.
Guess we're starting now.
Here we are. Nice.
It feels like we've time travelled.
We have.
Sometimes it's actually been years. I mean, how long has it been since we actually released a video full stop?
A year?
I think it's been about a year, right?
Yeah, 2 years.
The last one I did was that one about the crocodile.
Yeah.
That wasn't really even an official, that's just Instagram.
That was really good though, yeah. When was the last time you put anything on Instagram?
I feel like almost a year ago, maybe the beginning of the year. But then
you couldn't just put a post up of yourself. Just
no,
like,
just anything. No.
You couldn't just do anything
No,
like
I
that.
just couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
But that's going to change.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
good.
changing right now.
Yeah, it is.
From
Here
this
we are.
moment forth,
Yeah.
it's changing.
Yeah. Here we are. Do your best episode 1.
Oh, we're Uno.
Yeah. Set it
Is
up.
it Uno?
Should we do the song?
Let's do it.
You lead.
Oh God, how does it begin?
Ever
Climbed a mountain, ever caught a fish, ever looked to the stars and made a wish, ever shot a bow and arrow in the dead of night, ever read a map, ever flew a kite, ever made a fire, ever sang a song, ever tried to run a marathon, ever put yourself to the test. Do your best.
Hi.
Hi. I thought I was very impressed by that, actually. I thought that was very good. That was a great job.
Nicely done. Uncle Bob, how are you?
I'm good, actually, yes. I'm feeling fresh.
Nice, man.
Feeling sober as a judge.
What's that like?
I know, it feels weird.
Yeah,
it does feel weird. It feels like sort of being somewhat in control of your thoughts all the time.
That is good.
It is good, but scary at the same time, you know.
Yeah, well, thoughts are they're crazy, aren't they? They keep a coming. They
do.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's almost like when you can kind of subdue them a bit, when you can kind of wrestle them into shape.
Yeah.
And
that's sober.
Well, I suppose it is, but it doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
It feels more like it's kind of like all of the, you know, who made that great analogy about taking drugs, where it's like a whole orchestra, and when you take certain drugs, like different instruments get quieter, so you can only hear the oboe, or you can only hear the trumpet, or whatever like that.
Yeah.
And you know, booze does this, and you know, there are different combinations that you can create.
What instrument would the booze be?
Well, I don't. Maybe the just
oboe
a drum
is
solo.
quite
So,
nice.
yeah, just a
Drum solo,
fucking
yeah.
full. But you know, but when you're not drinking at all, when you're not doing anything, you know, it feels like the whole orchestra is like fucking loud. You know, like too loud. You're like, shut the fuck up, guys! Like this is too much. You know.
We were talking. I was talking earlier about someone was saying about how like rock and roll and indie and stuff like that. They were going. It's it's kind of basically the UK and America. I think that's like a. People say that stuff all the time, don't they? Like, oh, that's the best kind of stuff. Like
the French people would be so annoyed by that.
Of course there is.
Isn't there a whole French like indie scene?
Of course there is.
Yeah,
of course there is. Yeah, but like they're not as internationally renowned as like the Americans, the English, right?
No.
And they were saying like Germany. So like what about Germany?
Yeah.
Like where's their rock?
I don't
I was
know.
like Kraftwerk.
Oh, Kraftwerk, but that's
Yeah,
not. What is that? What kind is that? That's electronica.
And it was a while ago, and then he was
Yeah.
like Rammstein, and then it's
Oh.
and then
Oh no, there's nothing.
exactly, there's
No,
nothing. Yeah,
but Rammstein is like a really dark statement. That's like a mic drop from Germany. They're
so
just like,
so I googled it,
Yeah.
and the first like two are Rammstein and Kraftwerk. And
Is
then,
it?
and then like a plethora of, I'm sure, brilliant stuff that no one's
that no one's ever
listening
heard
to.
of.
No,
Yes,
no.
yeah, that makes me want to explore the German music.
But then I started thinking about like classical music.
Yeah.
And I was like, classical music,
Oh, is it all German?
it's all German.
So like Wolfgang,
Yeah, Mozart,
Mozart,
Beethoven,
Bach. Are they all German?
they're just all of them. It keeps
So-
going. They're
so-
like the three everyone knows. I don't know.
Was it the war? Is that what changed things?
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe because
Well,
also,
everyone were
well,
off
people
then.
got real pissed off because obviously like Hitler's favourite composer was like Wagner or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Nietzsche got pissed off about that as well.
Yeah, so I think a lot of is Wagner German.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, like, it
I
just
mean,
sounds German.
Yeah, I mean,
Wagner,
they're
but
literally
yeah.
all of the top
They're
ones,
just
all the
German.
big ones. So, like in the 1800s, the Germans were just smashing it internationally.
Yeah,
And then, as soon as classical went out of like style,
yeah. People were like fuck you.
and Germany was like, well, we've got electronic music. I
Yeah.
think they're big in
But
electronic music.
also, I guess the Nazis, the bad guys, they were shutting down all the music. They were shutting down all the art.
Also,
you know,
yeah.
so they were not letting painters paint, what they wanted
Yeah.
to, like free expression. You had to do things in a certain way, and like you wouldn't have been allowed to play like free jazz in the clubs or anything. So maybe that left a bit of a dent in Germany's kind of soul for a long time, musically speaking. So until that they could eventually unleash it with Rammstein, which kind of feels, which I think a lot of people.
I mean, they're great.
I mean, there's nobody else like them.
I think they're all pyrotechnics. I think every single one of the 8,000 members are all pyrotechnics.
Are they? They're all qualified. Is that what you mean?
I don't know. Yeah, I think so. Like someone said they went to see them, and it's just fires and just brilliant stuff.
I had a feeling like I drunkenly went to see them there, but I haven't. I've just seen a lot of videos. But I remember reading about how they shot fire out of their fake phalluses on stage at one point. And didn't also they get like banned from a few countries for doing weird things with those phalluses?
They like did big creamy jisms all over everyone. They're a lot of fun, aren't they?
What are you drinking, Joe?
I'm drinking the original Rattler.
The original Rattler, nice. That's a beautiful, beautiful choice for the first episode.
Rattler.
I'm in keeping with an unreleased episode. I'm drinking the Mango Loco.
Oh, nice.
Referred to bizarrely as a juice, and I really, honestly, I don't think it's about as far away from a juice as possible. This is Monster Energy Juice, Mango Loco, Day of the Dead themed. It's probably how I fucking feel afterwards.
We went into Co-op that time.
We did. We went into Co-op and we met a nice young man who still works there.
Yeah.
Interesting fellow.
Lovely guy.
Who immediately seemed to tell us everything he could possibly... everything he knew about Day of the Dead as soon as we just picked up the can.
I remember this. This was like a week where I was trying not to drink anything either. And we were we were drinking Monsters.
Yeah.
Monsters maybe. But we were sticking to them. Yeah. And we went in and I was like, maybe this one, possibly that. What does it taste like? We've also got vapes here, so we're really hitting it. Yeah.
We're really hitting it hard.
Yeah.
It tastes horrible, actually. Weird. Not horrible, just very sweet.
Right.
Very kind of very mango-y. But yeah, on the subject of German music,
that was that was Burger World that we
it was Burger World,
and we haven't released that.
We haven't released it yet.
Good, that's great.
Yeah, so maybe that's next.
Yeah, we've got a lot to put out, I guess, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've got like what have we put out episode wise?
We put out the virtual reality episode.
Yeah.
We put out what else did we put out? Zoltar.
Yeah, Bug World.
Bug World is like my kind of, that's the one I'm really proud of.
Yeah.
But there are still so many. We've got like 5 or 6 in the bank.
Yeah, we've got at least that one was Burger Day. I remember that. That was
National Burger Day.
National Burger Day.
Yeah. It's a fun episode.
Yeah, there's all those young, like an entire rugby team.
Oh yeah, an entire rugby team.
Down, mate.
Yeah, they just came down and like basically ruined the whole shoot while we were trying to make burgers, like trying to fry them up by the beach.
Yeah, they wanted to jump right next to us. Of course.
They're all in like weird little pants with slogans on them and stuff. We should have just gone full blown, just filmed them.
I know, we should have just been about them.
They were so much more entertaining. We should have just made them burgers.
It'd be a bit weird, me and you filming all those young rugby players in their pants.
Gay.
Just like, it's not that. It's more the fact that they were just sort of young fellas, and it was like
we're like creepy old like benefactors
drinking Monsters,
making them burgers.
Yeah, like making burgers.
Yeah,
want a Monster Energy drink.
That is a particularly dodgy kind of pedo. Exactly. Yeah,
it'd be better to at least have a beer.
Yeah, exactly. Then we're like, have a beer, my lad, and have a burger too.
Yeah, exactly.
Try not to mention that. I think literally they had Budgie Smuggler written on the pants.
Yeah.
I think that was it. Well, they're not pants. Are they pants? I don't know.
They look like pants. They look like pants.
What have you been reading about recently, Joe? Anything interesting?
No, not really, man. Unfortunately.
No?
I haven't had much to read. What? No.
It's been a slow week, I feel, for news that isn't entirely miserable.
I was reading about that guy from the 70s show that's just been done for 30 years. I don't want to talk about him.
Well, I know. I mean, I think it's always interesting to me when Scientology comes back into the newspaper, because it will have these huge periods of darkness where you're just like, what happened to those Scientologist guys? And then all of a sudden something will come back in the news and it's almost always bad.
There's never a good story
like,
from them.
Scientologists just give loads of money to an orphanage, or
No
like
chance, man.
yeah, exactly. Or
chance.
Scientologists, they've been helping out after the earthquake or something like that. No, it's the Yakuza who help out after an earthquake, not the fucking Scientologists.
Bless those guys.
I know, yeah, and they're full blown suits and like they're going for it,
that's cool.
but not the Scientologists. No, they're too busy doing whatever the fuck it is. They're
Literally trying to look after their reputation all over the place.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just hassling people. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, yeah. So there was a few things that I've been reading about this week. The first thing, which I think I mentioned to you the other day briefly, and I was like, save it for the podcast, was just generally about Kim Jong Un's gigantic bulletproof metal armored car. It
Nice.
looks a bit more like a sort of a UPS truck than you'd imagine.
Oh,
I was kind of imagining like Snowpiercer, like this
Yeah.
kind of like cool, kind of sleek looking. No. It looks more like a blocky kind of like it could transform into a robot if it could kind of be asked at some point. It's just like a very kind of rigid looking black thing.
What's this about? This is just an article about why has he got it?
Well, so basically,
about?
Kim Jong Un can't fly. I don't think he can fly because of the nature of like getting shot down by missiles.
Okay.
But he can take the train.
Is that who's missiling him?
I think just fucking no one likes him basically.
Right.
He's got no his mate.
Right.
There's like loads of people that would gladly assassinate him. I think maybe even like South Korea might have a pop at it. I don't know.
Right,
They might just be like fuck it.
Go for it.
They're just like
Go
he's
for
there
it.
like fucking bang bang.
Yeah.
They're just on the top of a roof just like taking box shots of them.
Yeah.
Who knows? But anyway, he only takes the train. So he's got his own train. It's got pink interior leather seats. I've heard it described as bulletproof, slow as fuck, and full of wine, which is kind of brilliant.
I didn't know he was a drinker.
Yeah, and he always looks really happy when he's next to the train as well, which kind of brings me some joy, even though he's clearly probably one of the world's worst. Well, is he one of the worst? He's pretty bad.
Yeah, I guess
He's
he's
up
pretty
there.
bad. I mean,
He's
they're
not
not doing
exactly-
too good out there. I
No,
guess.
but I mean, all the poor people there are like being left on their own. It's fucked, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But and I'm sure there's worse, weird, tyrannical shit that he's doing. I remember he ate. Was it his dad or was it him that ate that rabbit? We sent over a giant rabbit as a gift at some point in the early 2000s to be like, look, we bred this giant rabbit. This is what our one claim to fame apparently in the United Kingdom. That we've just got giant rabbits, and we sent it there. You just immediately ate it. It's immediately. And that's like a true bad guy thing to do, isn't it? But anyway, so he's on his way to see Uncle Vlad.
Oh right,
yeah.
they're hanging out. With them.
Yeah, they're hanging out
Cool.
and basically trying to exchange. This is the little you can tell how little I know about politics from just what I'm saying here. But
yeah, I mean,
but basically they're trying to exchange. They're saying basically North Korea is saying that we've got all of these weapons that you might need to Russia, and Russia are like, yeah, we'll take them, but all of their weapons are fucking old. They're like from the 1950s, because after the Korean War ended, they were left with all of this equipment, but it's all totally knackered.
Yeah, sure.
It's not good.
Yeah.
And in exchange, they'll be asking the Russians for like really cool shit, like secret like submarine technology and stuff like that. And there's not a fucking chance that they're going to give them this cool shit. They're like, you're going to give me all your rusty bullets and we're going to give you this magical submarine. I think not. So it'll be interesting to see how the negotiations went. But all of the photographs are just like super happy images of Kim Jong-un looking like this cherubic, chubby, happy dude.
Oh, and it's a cool car. Do you think it actually is armoured car? Because
Well, it's on a train.
it's an armoured train.
Yeah,
right.
sorry. Yeah.
Do you think the train is actually armoured or just fitted?
Oh, what do you mean? What's the difference?
Well, I mean, what I mean is how that guy from Vice went over.
Yeah.
Do you remember that documentary? And
Yeah.
he goes over and there's they
Oh,
put
it's-
on a big show and they're like, hey, check it out, we've got. But then it turned out there was a load of facades of buildings. There was nothing behind the buildings.
There were all these like scary kind of flat
Entire
two-dimensional.
banquet halls filled up as if it was going to be full at any moment,
That's
but there was
so true.
no one there.
That's so true.
Is the armoured car? Have they just got a good art department?
Yeah, exactly.
To do this one bit, but the rest of it is just totally fucked.
I could imagine that easily. Yeah.
I feel like that's what's going on with him.
I imagine the wine is real, but the bulletproof vest is not. Yeah. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah. The wine's definitely real. Yeah, I did see a video about a river of wine in Portugal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I do.
Real wine.
I have no. That is
Context.
all I've
That's
got.
all you got.
Yeah, well, this is all we've got nowadays. Just like 5 seconds.
5 seconds
that's
is
it.
a river of wine.
That's the
Maybe
end
there
of
was some sort of accident. Maybe like the reservoir where
Yeah.
they were keeping all the wine.
It was like a road.
It just-
The road was gushing with just red wine, just following
Holy
the road
shit.
down. Yeah.
Maybe someone just literally looked into the afterlife for like 2.9 seconds, just fucking.
Yeah.
took
What
a
made
little
me think
snapshot.
it might not have been wine is I didn't see anybody like gathering it up. No jugs. No one
Oh,
going
yeah.
like, "This is great."
Is
Let it be like full dirt.
It's actually like the blood of innocence. Yeah. No, it's not
maybe.
wine.
Yeah, it wasn't dark enough, I don't think. But yeah, nice.
That reminds me of that whole thing about the pilgrimage that you can go on, where like there's apparently a tap somewhere where you can literally just,
All the way,
all the way,
all the way. All the different vineyards.
and they've just literally you can just get wine out of the tap.
Yeah, so if you're walking that pilgrimage, or I guess it's a pilgrimage, and if you're walking along it, all of the vineyards will have a tap for the house wine, and you're able to fill up. Yeah, and what people do, it's like the English, I guess especially, go over and go, "Oh, brilliant," and then take out their bottles of water and empty all of the water out and fill it up with white wine, and then the next place is so far away that you just end up sort of in the middle of like sort of plains of
God,
of
in the heat,
Portugal,
just
in
like
the heat,
what-
just like drinking the white wine, like
Oh,
hoping
that sounds
someone
horrible.
else comes past that hasn't been as much of a moron.
God, the
as
fucking
you.
devil's in them pipes, man.
Yeah,
It's fucking
yeah.
in them pipes.
Yeah, I mean, you know that would happen though, wouldn't you? You'd be filling your shoes up. You'd be trying like filling every single crevice up, trying to get
Yeah.
as much of this free
for
wine
sure.
as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you'd make it 20 minutes in the blistering heat and be like,
Wow. I wonder if
The wine
like
wasn't a great
I wonder if
idea.
that's some crazy deal that the vineyards have made with like the church or some conspiracy like that like they've agreed like years ago, like the Buckfast monks of the abbey or whatever. They've like, we have to provide the pilgrims with this much wine each year, otherwise we'll be like fucking, all the land will be taken away by the crazy cardinal or some shit. Who
Yeah.
knows? I don't know. That
I
kind
like
of
the
seems
idea of
credible.
a crazy cardinal.
Yeah, like just loads of wine, just like.
That's like Albert the Fifth Musketeer.
Yeah,
Like, that was
exactly.
always the bad guy was the cardinal.
I thought he was he a mouse?
No, he was just a really small guy.
Just a really small guy.
Yeah, he was like super small guy, but he was the fourth musketeer. How many musketeers were there? 3.
Three musketeers. Why do I think it's a mouse? Was there a thing that where the musketeers were animals?
Maybe.
Mouseketeers.
The
There's
Mouseketeers.
something called the fucking Mouseketeers. But
Okay.
Albert, now I remember now, this was a cartoon from when we were kids.
Yeah, do you remember Albert? Yeah, and I think the bad guys was like the cardinal.
He was the cardinal.
He
Wow.
was the bad.
That's
dude.
probably pretty realistic. That's
Yeah.
kind of like, I've never actually, to tell you the truth, I don't really know the story of the Three Musketeers.
No, neither do I.
I think Oliver Reed was in one of them though.
Yeah.
As one of the Musketeers, which is quite exciting.
Cool.
Exciting shit. Speaking of
He
mouse,
would have just surfed that fucking river of wine, man.
yeah,
Just in his underpants.
Yeah,
Just found
sure.
an old door and just surfed that thing right
yeah, he
down.
would never come up for air. He's just like, where the fuck did Ollie go?
Yeah.
Speaking of Mouseketeers, there's this guy called Mauzan, right? And apparently he's been causing trouble in Mexico for like a long time, for like many years, because he keeps finding what he claims are like alien artifacts or like alien skeletons or bodies or whatever, and bringing them to the Mexican Congress. And then they'll have to do this big unveiling where like the whole public and all the journalists are there, and he's like, I, Mauzan, have discovered another alien artifact. And then Congress don't really know what to do with it. The Mexican Congress are like, well, we're kind of proud that we found it, but at the same time they kind of think it's bullshit. And he's basically
Wow.
just unveiled these like 3 new alien bodies, which he claims were found in these like algae mines. And he's like, these are genuine
Algae mines.
algae mines. I was thinking that.
What's that?
I swear it said algae mines. Maybe is that ancient mines of algae and how it's like clumped together into like a mine
Yeah.
shape.
Algae's usually in water.
That's why I thought, but maybe just in
they're
like
just
some
maybe they're
fossilized,
just wet caves,
wet ass mines. Yeah,
covered in algae.
maybe, yeah. And but anyway, so he's unveiled them. They look utterly rubbish. They're like these little. They just look. There's no way that these were carved by hand. They just look like these dodgy, kind of not even cool enough to call it folk art. Just literally just looks like a forgery. But the Mexican Congress, as crazy as they are, they seem to be taking it rather seriously.
Oh, that's interesting.
But in the past, Mauzan's many alien forgeries have been sort of brought to light and debunked. So it's not really a very serious alien event. You know the other day when
Aliens isn't that like, well, UFOs are just, that's a definite now, right? Like UFOs is a definite.
I think
Not
it is.
maybe not the weather balloon thing. That might have been a bit like funky, but like isn't there a lot of definite UFOs? There's definite UFOs.
The problem is that all that weather balloon stuff came out at exactly the same point that various different governments started saying, well, we actually, like, UFOs are definitely a real thing.
Right.
So the public are now in 2 months because they're like, aren't they all just weather balloons? Which is what they've been saying since Roswell. Like that original.
Wouldn't there be a lot of meteorologists thinking like, oh yeah, that's ours. Yeah, we did lose a bunch of them.
Yeah, exactly. I guess
that's
so.
my one.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. But I guess they're supposed to be covert. They're supposed to be spy balloons. So nobody, you know.
Yeah.
But they never found the one that, what was it? Biden shot down with like a missile or whatever. They never found that one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they never discovered that weather balloon. But I remember China thought the whole thing was hilarious, and they were like, "You just spent fucking loads and loads of money on shooting down one of our weather balloons." Yeah. But then they changed their tone and like retracted their statement, and then they were like, I can't remember what they said, but essentially along the lines of "Stop shooting down our weather balloons, you asshole."
Yeah.
They thought it was funny, and then it wasn't funny actually, and they were like, hang on a minute.
Yeah, well, they like the idea of everyone wasting their money,
but then they're like,
well,
no.
you're wasting our...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, I bought that from Argos, you fuck. Like, give it back. I want a refund.
Sure.
But yeah, so there are lots of things with that. Basically different... It seems like the American government is saying that they acknowledge the existence of UFOs now, which they never... But they always did, because there was always a project. Everyone always knew there was like a Project Blue Book or one of these things set up to look at UFOs, because you have to have that just in case it is a legitimate terrorist threat, you know. Yeah. But now it seems like they're happy to say that they don't know the origin of some of these crafts, but they are not happy to say that they think it's in any way extraterrestrial in origin. But so it's kind of, it's like a very boring way of revealing the truth.
I guess like where we are, it's like it feels like, it really does feel like, you know, the aliens, we could go, yeah, definitely there's aliens, and most people will be like, I'm fucking late for work, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm late.
Yeah.
You know?
I do wonder,
or I'm too drunk, or I'm too depressed right now to think about this.
I used to think... I used to think that if suddenly all of a sudden, you know, there was some big alien event and, like, you know, aliens came down and stuff, that it would change all of our lives, that people would start like quitting their jobs. They would start just like roaming the desert, becoming these like crazed nomads, being like, there's no belief anymore. All the religious people would give up their religions because they'd be like, this doesn't make sense anymore. But now I'm starting to think that wouldn't happen.
I don't think it would happen at all.
I think people would be like, there you go, there's a space squid. Fantastic.
Yeah.
They'd be like, brilliant. To them, that's just like basically saying that you found in a cave a kind of albino shrew.
Yeah.
And they're like, brilliant, you found the shrew, did you? Great. As you say, I need to get on with my work.
Can you eat it?
Yeah, exactly. Can we fuck it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Yeah. Can I sell it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
how do we make money off this thing? How do we market this shrew?
That's the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. I think that's a definite. I don't think people would give a fuck.
We'll get this as well, right? So recently NASA, this seems to happen at least once a month or something, that they find something in space which seems exciting and anomalous. I think not that long ago there was some kind of radio noise that they thought might be extraterrestrials. And this week, the news is that NASA's telescope, which is apparently like better than Hubble now. It's like the next level Hubble. It's like fucking good. I can't remember what they call it. Like
Double Hubble.
Double Hubble. Exactly. Yeah. Fucking yeah. So this one looks even further into space, and it's looking 120 light years away, and it's basically found this planet, this exoplanet in the Leo constellation.
Nice.
And I can't remember, it's called like K3, like 49b or some shit. I can't remember what it's called.
It's like a second child. Or
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's illegitimate, baby. Yeah, and basically what they found is they somehow, I don't know how they know what kind of gases are on a planet from that far away, but they think that it's got this gas on it that's called DMS. It's called dimethyl sulfite or something, sulfite, dimethyl sulfite, I think.
And it's like DMT though.
It's kind of, yeah, it does, but it's kind of like sulfurous in some way, a bit like sulfur. I think it's some kind of gas, but basically the idea is that this gas can only be produced by living creatures, usually by plankton.
Oh, nice.
And they can see that they think there's a shit ton of water on this planet. And so they think potentially, that there could be some kind of life on there, but it's 120 billion, I don't know, can't remember which one.
Yeah, light years pretty far.
Light years
isn't it?
away, yeah.
Yeah.
120, it's not just 120 minutes away, it's like...
It's a long time. It's
That's
going to
like-
take you a really long time to get there. I mean, what I don't understand is like the speed of light. How long did it take for them to see it? I mean, that's just how stupid I am. Like, but if you're looking at it and it's what they're seeing, right? Follow me here.
Oh, it's already like dead.
Not necessarily dead, but where they're looking at is they're looking into the past of where they're looking at.
Yeah.
Because it's so far away.
Yes, that's true.
That's true, right?
So many of the stars that we look at are already gone.
Yeah. So the planet they're looking at with that you know,
Hubble,
plankton
yeah.
and like the water and stuff, they're looking into like how many years is a light year? You know, how long does the light take to...
Yeah.
There will be no answers.
Yeah.
There will be no answers to it.
This is not the science podcast that you wanted.
But they're looking like maybe a millennia into the past, if it's that far away, or maybe 8,000 years or 2,000 years into the past. But what they could be looking at is, you know, like a massive... That, you know, if it's Darwinian, it's kind of like this mirror. Like, weren't we once just like watery plankton amoebas?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and then it took however long
for them to get to this point. Yeah.
for us to be doing this.
I guess that's why, because sometimes I think, you know, people would be even more bored by finding something on a planet which was non-intelligent. But you create a really good point there, Joe. It's like if that thing one day has the potential of evolving into something intelligent, you know, or maybe it will just end up as a dolphin.
But it could already be whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Or probably it already has evolved, but we're looking at its past. So if they were looking at us, right?
But isn't it like, hang on a minute? But sorry, I don't know why I'm thinking about dolphins.
Because they could be looking like that planet could have evolved with like you know, intelligent life like us, and they could be looking right back at us and going, yeah, there's some watery slugs coming out of that water.
Oh right, so we're both passing ships in the night.
We're all looking at a billion years ago of each other because we're so far away.
Yeah, wow, that's beautiful.
Even though we're actually looking at each other right now.
That's powerful. Yeah,
Is
wow.
it? Yeah, I don't
think
know,
that
but it's
fucking
true.
Makes sense. I think that makes sense.
I think that makes sense in terms of how fast light is.
That's insane. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I remember some sci-fi guy or something postulating the idea that if we were ever to find an alien species, not that we ever would, but that we'd be more likely to find the ruins of a civilization because of the nature of passing ships in the night.
Yeah,
you know that we'll never really. There's too much time. Time is just so vast that yes, it seems likely impossible that given a sufficient amount of time and building blocks of life, that it will crop up across the galaxy and there are many galaxies.
It's like how just think about how many bars or pubs you've walked into in your life, and just think about how many times out of all of those times you walked in, there was a really brilliant fucking time going on.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of like that. You walk into most bars at any time and it's just like dusty. There's no one about. You know, like the barman's a twat and you know, or something like that. And you're like, what is up with this place? But there's going to be people out there that are like, that bar is the place.
Yeah.
You know, they had the time of their life there because once it was just
that's true.
Fruitful and brilliant, and just they were just amazing.
So
everyone was like clicking, and everything. It was like the best party of all time.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, just 12 hours later, it's a nowhere land.
And there's another 50, 60, 70 years have to pass before one truly great night happens in there again.
And just to walk in at that right time, that's like, you know, that's when it's brilliant. Yeah. You could be in a bad mood too.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
You could stumble across like a brilliant civilization, but it could just be like raining that day.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, this is a shit civilization.
We're just gonna get out of here.
You know, this is crap.
This
you
is
know,
shit.
but if it's like a real nice day, you'd be like, oh, this is really got promise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think we would struggle to even communicate or get along with another intelligent species as well.
Well, we can't even get along with each other, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I think that, you know, even if we were able to make, you know, rudimentary, simple communication, I think we would very soon come to blows. And not because of the classic reason. People are always like, an advanced civilization will look down upon us and they will see these savages. I don't think that's it. It's just that they wouldn't get us. They just wouldn't get. They wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
Because as you say, we barely get us. We don't really understand.
I mean, we don't get.
There's we've got a lot of like balled up weird emotions. We're kind of like sometimes we're feeling a bit sexy. Sometimes we're feeling a bit adventurous. Sometimes we're fucking angry.
Oh yeah.
And like.
Yeah, sometimes all at one time.
Sometimes all at one time. And I can imagine an alien race being like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? And that's just a normal Tuesday afternoon in Portsmouth Harbour. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's like, what the fuck?
It's like what you were saying. We were talking about it the other day, and we were talking about. I don't know why that reminded me of it. Of that bit in the Matrix. Can't believe we're talking about the Matrix, but
nice.
That bit in the Matrix where the guy. They talk about how they tried to make the Matrix once, but. And everything was great. Everything was fine.
Yeah.
But people couldn't fucking deal with that.
No.
They knew something was up.
Yeah. They didn't it's not just that they don't want to be happy, it's that they're accustomed. It's normal to feel almost persistent, constant suffering.
It's part and partial of just being.
It's also, a lot of Eastern religions particularly are all based around this idea. You think about Buddhism, it's all about, especially Zen Buddhism is all about this idea of like life is suffering and then kind of embracing and acknowledging that all forms of life are suffering,
Yeah. What's the mantra?
What if you see the Buddha on the road?
No, I like that though. If you see the Buddha on the road,
cut off his head.
Cut off his head. Yeah, I love that. Buddha said that.
Did he say it?
I think that was Buddha.
He's like, but don't actually literally.
I think that was Buddha that said
he's like,
it.
don't literally do it though.
Yeah, someone cut his fucking head. Yeah. No, you know the mantra. There's a mantra that you once told me. It's Norango.
Oh, you're talking about the this is Nichiren Daishonin. It's another form of Buddhism, but that's the chanting. Yeah, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo.
Nam-myoho Renge Kyo.
Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. I'm not even fully sure what that means, but it's got something to do with like the mystic law. So it's about your kind of I think you're in harmony with the universe in some way, but that I don't know shit.
Yeah, I mean Buddhism seems cool.
There's so much to learn, so many different ways of approaching it as well,
Yeah.
It's strange how meditation now has been so embraced by sort of modern society and kind of tech society in a way.
Everyone needs it so much.
Silicon Valley and all that, but it's almost been stripped of a lot of its.
The plastic world needs the mind, or like needs behind the mind.
Needs the soul. Needs to understand what the consciousness really is. Yeah. But it's interesting to me that. You've got certain spiritual traditions which never seem to shed their skin of the sort of dogma and iconography attached to them. But then you've got things like meditation that were always very Buddhist in nature, and the Buddhists believe, like Zen Buddhists believe in like crazy hells. They believe in like kind of reincarnation's a big one as well. Like they believe in like certain like there's a hierarchy to what you'll come back as. Like if you're an asshole, you'll come back as like a beetle or a dog or a frog, and
which is kind of unfortunate to like beetles, dogs, and frogs, because I don't know yet if I've met I had probably met a couple of asshole dogs, but probably I've been an asshole as well. So
I'm a bit of an asshole dog. Yeah,
and like I saw a frog. Is it a frog? Probably a toad. I saw a toad earlier this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they are just.
I find them very intimidating.
Do you?
Yeah. I feel there's this weird feeling. Do you know, like somehow, like
they're so cute, man.
Are they?
Oh, so cute. Yeah.
Oh no.
We moved this log, and seconds later there was a toad. He must have been living underneath it. And like
fat toad, like big.
Yeah, he was about this big. He was about this big, right? He was about that big, and he was like clambering to go somewhere. And I was like, "Hey, what are you doing, buddy?" And I sort of put my hands down. I don't know what I was doing. I guess I was giving him a little tap on the ass. Like, I wasn't. I was like, "What's up?" And he was like clambering for somewhere. And as I put my hand there, he kind of used my fingers as a push-off point.
Wow. He's just doing press-ups on your fingers.
Yeah.
Wow.
And sort of
like flexing
with his back feet. Yeah, with his back feet, he kind of used my hand as a push-off point to go into the sort of crevice of a tree. To get underneath it. I kind of pushed him up, and it really felt like. Like when a baby like holds your finger.
Yeah.
Wow. You like look at their tiny fingers and you're like, oh, wow. Like it was a great feeling.
I was like,
these guys are fucking awesome.
I feel like you're like the missing human like dynamic in like the Animals of Farthingwood, or whatever it's called. You're like this like helpful Joe.
Bear in mind, I was there with a chainsaw.
yeah. And things could go wrong at any moment. Things could change.
Yeah.
But that's beautiful. It's like that's a moment of like you and nature just like hanging out.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice. I
rare.
wouldn't have remembered that if we hadn't spoken about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Like
and
that.
now I bet I'll remember that for a long time.
My only memory of having a toad is being locked out of a mansion in the pouring rain and trying to get to a window so I could throw pebbles up at it and like wake the people up in the mansion.
We're all locked out of a mansion.
Yeah, I know, in our hearts, yeah. And there's just this huge fat toad that's like kind of coming toward me and it's in between me and the pebbles. And I'm saying to this toad, like, fuck you, toad, you get out of my way. You get out of my way, I'm trying to go to bed. And it's there going, like flexing.
How big was this fucking thing?
It was
Sounds
big.
like it was huge.
It was big, and I remember just getting frustrated and going, "Oh fuck it," and just walking away rather than trying to confront it.
You're like having a standoff with a toad.
I know, yeah, but I could. It was. Yeah.
There are those gross toads that have that give the babies out of their back.
Oh
you
no,
seen them?
that's so gross.
It's an amazing thing, but I do. You know, it's kind of hard to watch.
Yeah.
You know? But it's also, if you're into sort of like Dr. Pimple Popper, you're gonna like it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so it's like again,
I was thinking the other day about kangaroo pouches as well, and the idea of like, you know, do you remember that story about the lady and she accidentally knocks over the kangaroo and she feels bad because she doesn't know whether or not to have a baby in its pouch because someone's, you know, told her that that's the case, that you need to check.
Oh,
so
right,
she gets out of the car like sobbing, and there's this like dead kangaroo in the road, and she plunges a hand into its like gooey, like I don't even know what that pouch like has access to exactly.
I think it's essentially like the it's like a womb. It's like an exterior womb.
Wow, so it doesn't go into it's just kind of
No,
shut off.
it's I don't know if it's shut off. I don't think you can just go straight into them, but
Yeah.
I think that's what's going on in the pouch. I think it's like I think when the kangaroo's born, it's like this big, and then it's not born though, really. You know what I mean?
Well, it
It's
just
like,
hangs around in this sack.
well, like what we do is, well, not me and you.
Personally, yeah.
We never will. We never will. But like what we'll have, you know, it'll be that big, but it'll be in the stomach of,
Right.
of a woman, and you know, and the placenta will feed it through there. But I think the pouch is basically that, but just in the pouch.
Right, yeah.
So it grows in the pouch. Yeah. Anyway, what happened?
Well, no, anyway, she just basically, to cut a long story short, she just plunges her hand straight into this gooey pouch and there's fucking nothing in there. So so she just goes back to her car with this gooey hand, like, fuck, like in tears. I can't remember. I swear
That's
I
better
heard
than finding like
a
this
dead.
tiny.
No, but it would have been alive.
Yeah, it
but
would
that
have
would have
been
been a
like a
moment
little
of.
fetus.
Yeah, but then she would have like driven it to some great kangaroo sanctuary, maybe.
You have to do it quickly.
Does that even exist? I heard
I
that
bet it does.
yeah, probably. Yeah, I did hear that you know they are considered pests there though, but so are
Yeah,
seagulls.
apparently you're gonna hit them. You're gonna hit them.
Yeah, really, Jesus.
Well, here in Cornwall, it's like sort of like that. No one would kill the seagulls. Well, not no one, but like, but they are sort of considered pests, aren't they?
They are considered pests, but at the same time, people love them.
People do love them. They're like an icon that people tell to fuck off all the time.
There was that time when we found that little gull as well. There's been so many seagull experiences that we've had, like trying to save gulls in it, like not working out or whatever. It's like fuck these heartbreaking birds that just fly into our lives to cause tragedy. Bless them.
It is a sad time.
They're just not very with it.
Yeah.
I
mean, they'd be good at like. I feel like seagulls would be good at fishing.
Yeah.
If we weren't constantly leaving sausages everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. They're distracted. Their eyes aren't on the prize anymore.
Yeah, if people just finished their dinner.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
The seagulls would be like, right, well, we'll just go and get our dinner like normal.
Yeah. I told you about the time when I was in Brighton with Robbie Grayson, and we both got attacked while eating fish and chips, and I could feel the waddles of the I think what you call them, the waddles of the seagull on the back of my neck, and they were these cold. They were like reptilian cold waddles as it was flapping and trying to get me.
I can imagine that. That's not dissimilar probably to just a giant toad.
Yeah, exactly.
Just sort of like pushing on the sort of like exactly like a massage, but just not the same.
Just trying to get your chips.
Just like being like massaged by like an 83-year-old strong Yorkshireman with sort of clammy hands. It's not something you dream of.
It's funny because I always think of like rats as being straight up vermin as well. You know, like if I've seen a few rats in my time, and I'm always like, oh, like this. Am I more scared of a rat than a toad? Yes, I think I'm more intimidated by a rat actually because they're really big as well. This is the thing that scares me about them. I've had a few in my kitchen before at home as well.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty. I mean, I think I was talking about this the other day when I was watching some American show, and it's like there's a rat in it and they freak out, and that's like a big thing in like maybe in America they're just terrified of rats big time.
But don't they say that you're never like more than 1 inch away from a rat or something? It's just
at any time.
But I think it's particularly bad in like New York and shit like that.
Yeah,
like
it's gonna be. Yeah, it's gonna be. No. I'm gonna just grab a drink a minute.
Nice, no problem. Rats.
Say rats.
Just saying rats on repeat.
100 times.
And then the rats will appear. It's like they come out the mirror.
But I like them. I mean, but then again, I haven't seen. You know, I'm no sewer man. I haven't seen the. I haven't seen the big ones.
There's a lady I know, and she keeps rats, for fun, for pleasure, not as some kind of bizarre, attempt to get back at the rats.
Poor Richard Gere.
I know. I think about Richard Gere all the time.
Hey, so tell me that.
So yeah, that's a crazy story.
Yeah, I want to know that again.
Well, so basically, at some point, a rumor spread around Hollywood that that Richard Gere, the actor formerly known as Richard Gere, had in some way inserted a rodent, particularly a gerbil, into his rectum, presumably for pleasure, although that part of the story is missing. It's simply that he then had to go to a doctor, and the rumour is basically from the perspective of the doctor talking about how he had to remove the rodent which was dead.
I mean, I remember it as a kid. Anyone our age will know, like almost know that Richard Gere gets up to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And it went around Hollywood so quickly that it genuinely affected his career. Like he was no longer being offered, certain kind of roles. Sorry, it's a horrible noise. Jesus Christ. It's like extracting a tooth. That was horrible. There we go. The changeover has occurred.
Yeah.
And so it did affect his roles. It affected his ability to get a job, and so people were trying to get to the bottom of it for years. Who was it who spread this rumor? Because let's be honest, we all know in our heart of hearts that Richard Gere didn't actually do this. He didn't actually put a gerbil up his ass, and if he did, there would be no way that it would have got out. He would have paid a doctor probably every penny that he physically had to be like, do not spread this story.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. The guy was like on top of the world.
But so, in the last few years, it's come to light that basically during that period of time, Sylvester Stallone was working on a film with Richard Gere where there were all these kind of like tough biker dudes, which seems crazy, but it's kind of believable with Sylvester Stallone, but not believable with Richard Gere. He doesn't seem like a biker guy at all to me. But there you go.
No, I guess not.
But maybe at the time he was, I don't know. But anyway, so they're dressed in like biker gear, they're hanging out on set, there's a few of them. But Sylvester Stallone likes to go into his really nice posh car with his leather interior and eat his lunch, which is apparently a not very messy lunch, in solace in his car. But it's quite cold outside. So Richard Gere comes along and he's taken from the buffet table rather than the nice little sandwich that Sylvester Stallone's got. He's taken a whole fucking like half a chicken. Or maybe a whole chicken. I can't remember how much chicken it is. But it's a greasy, oily, freshly cooked chicken on like a paper plate. And he opens the Sylvester Stallone's fucking passenger side door, hops in, closes the door because it's fucking cold, and he's like got his chicken in his lap, and Sylvester Stallone turns around to Richard Gere and he's like, "Don't you fucking eat that chicken in my car." And he's like, "It's not a problem, Sylvester, I'm just going to eat it here very calmly." And he's like, "Okay, but don't get any fucking oil on my seats. Don't do that." So immediately, apparently, while looking him in the eye, Richard Gere takes the chicken, raises it to his mouth, takes one big bite, and juices just squirt across the leather interior. And literally, without even thinking about it, Sylvester Stallone just boots him out of the car. So like, fucking Gere's going flying with his chicken out of that car.
I love the idea of this car door just blowing up.
Yeah, with the chicken spinning into the stratosphere. And anyway, so then Sylvester Stallone, I like to think after finishing his sandwich, cooling down a bit, he goes over to the director and says, this guy's got to fucking get off. So I'm not working on this set with this. This terrible. That sounded a bit Christian Bale then. But he's like, he's like, I'm gonna trash your lights like you trashed my scene. But anyway, so he wasn't having any of it. He said, look, I'm off the set if you don't fire Richard Gere. And so Richard Gere gets replaced by another biker guy, and they've got to reshoot all of his scenes and all the scenes that he was in, and the movie gets released. Then shortly after that, this letter comes around about Richard Gere shoving fucking gerbils up his ass.
Yeah. I mean, it's clear what you're implying.
Absolutely. I think Sylvester Stallone went out.
He just fucking.
He was like, I'm going to assassinate this guy's career for eating chicken in my car.
Just went out there, Rocky style, just fucking KO'd him with a gerbil in the ass.
Yeah, literally.
Just fucking.
There are so many bizarre stories.
I mean, how did he get the gerbil in the ass anyway? I mean, what the hell? You got?
I think the idea is you would do it through a tube. So like similar to what the tubes that gerbils would run down. You know why I also think
the tube in first.
Do you know why I also think that Sylvester Stallone definitely made this shit up? Because Sylvester Stallone's always had some weird thing.
Puts gerbils in his ass.
Yeah,
that's so bad as well.
No, I thought that was pretty good. Yeah. But I think it's because he's got a weird little obsession with pet shops, to the point, right, where in Rocky, the way that he courts the love of his life, who works in a pet shop, is by buying as many pets as possible from that shop. Still, to this day, Sylvester Stallone still owns the little turtles that he buys in that scene from that girl.
I know about this. I saw this recently.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, they're the same turtles.
Yeah, exactly. They're the
exact same
ones.
Turtles.
Yeah, they're like hundreds of years old now.
There's pictures of him and he's like...
Yeah, the turtles haven't aged and Sylvester Stallone just looks like a fucking brick.
Yeah.
Fleshy brick. But I swear there's some other weird shit with him and animals as well, like something about dogs, but I can't remember.
Man, I know that story. The one with the dogs.
Yeah.
This is quite a heartwarming story if it's real. The story is that as a fledgling actor and writer, he was trying to get a job, and he had been writing Rocky, and he'd been doing soft porn and stuff like that, I think, right?
Haven't we all?
Yeah. And he was trying to get he's trying to sell the Rocky movie. I think this is right. He's trying to sell the Rocky movie, and like this one company says to him, "Sure, we'll buy the film, no problem. We'll give you like $250,000 or something like that. But there's no fucking way in chance that you're gonna be Rocky, right? We're gonna make it, but you ain't Rocky. There's no." And he was like, I gotta be Rocky. He was like, it's my movie, I'm the guy, it's my film, it's like, I've got to be Rocky. And they're like, well, take it or not, So he's like, he doesn't take it, and he's flat broke, and he's like, he goes to like the convenience store or something with his beloved dog. And this is the bit where it gets cloudy, but like someone essentially is like, he's got like no money at all, and someone essentially is like, I'll buy your fucking dog from you.
Yeah.
I'll buy the dog off you, for like however much money, because he's got like no money at all.
Is it not particularly is it a special breed of dog? Do you know?
I have no idea, but in my mind it's an Alsatian.
So it's something that's desirable.
Or
They're
a
not
boxer.
Or a boxer dog.
Probably
Nice.
Boxer,
That'd be clever.
Yeah. But like, so apparently he sells the dog because he's got no money at all. So he sells the dog, like, and he's like just torn up completely, but he buys like some food and he's like eating a bit, and he's got more. Like, he goes to another meeting to sell the movie, and they're like, well, we'll give you like no money at all to make the movie, but you can be Rocky.
You can be the star.
Yeah. And like, he's like, I'll take the he's got these two offers on the table of like a load of money but can't be Rocky, or no money and can be Rocky.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'll do that. I'm going to take, it's probably a few grand though. He's going to pay
exactly. Yeah, for sure. And he's exactly.
And he's going to be the guy.
Yeah, this is his one shot to basically
get
not be a porn star anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. So apparently they give him the money, and then apparently after that he hangs out outside this convenience store for days upon end until the guy that bought his dog finally comes back in, and then just gives the guy just like thousands of pounds to get his goddamn dog back.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Apparently.
That's more beautiful than the story with Will Smith, that when Will Smith was making the film I Am Legend, I'm a Legend, that he the dog that he likes to get in the bath with in that movie, he loved that dog so much that he tried to buy it off its owner and trainer,
Yeah.
who obviously loves that dog
Yeah.
and has lived with that dog since it was a puppy and trained it, and he was like, money's no object, I'll pay anything. And they're like, fuck you, Will Smith, you can't fucking buy everything.
Yeah.
You can't buy love, you mental case.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh, shame I can't buy that dog, but
Oh, that's the end.
that's
the
it.
End. Oh,
yeah.
right. He really.
I think
wanted-
that's more a bitter story. That's a bit like Lionel Richie offering cash for Nicole Richie.
Yeah, but Nicole's.
She had a good life. She had a much
Yeah.
better life than with her folks who were like pretty scary people by the sounds of it.
By the sounds of it.
But he offered them money.
You only ever hear the victor's story, don't we?
True. But he offered them. He was like, "Have that cash." He could have just been like, "Well, I'll look after her." But instead, he was like, "Have this money. Like, there's a settlement going on."
And I feel like there's something a little bit more deep and strange about that. Like if they were, addicts or something like that, they might have been like,
They needed the money, and well, they're like, "We're not going to give her up for nothing."
No, well, I'm not implying that they were saying give us some cash. I'm implying that they were like junked out.
Yeah, they're just like,
And then he
going
was
on?
like, "Hey, look, here's some dosh," and
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, some dosh," And he was like, "Let's get this fucking kid out of here."
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy. I mean,
I imagine though, like him being a very wholesome dude around a lot of like crazy session musicians. I imagine that was generally the
He's
case.
just like singing at blind women.
yeah.
Just going crazy. I mean, that fucking video is unbelievable.
It's so good.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Did
The
he-
bit in the video, right? Just sorry, the bit in the video where he calls her up on the phone. Do
Yeah.
you know this, right?
Yeah.
He calls her up on the phone, and it gets to the chorus. He's like, about to talk to her. She's blind.
Yeah.
She's got to the phone.
Yeah.
She's like, hello, is there anyone there? He's on the phone. He drops it. He drops the phone. Looks into the camera and goes, "Hello." Leaves the phone. She's
still like, who the hell is that on the line? That's terrifying.
And he's over there. She can hear it in the background. She can hear Lionel in the background. Like, it's like, is there someone there? He's like, yes. She's like, I'm not quite sure. I mean, it's a beautiful video. She does make a pretty impressive fucking head.
Yeah,
the head
for sure.
of Zardos.
Well, I heard a story that he had looked at that head when it was made and was like, that looks fucking nothing like me.
I mean, he's right.
And then the set designer or the sculptor was like, she's supposed to be blind. And he was like, oh, right, cool.
I mean, for a blind woman, it's incredible. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure blind women have made way better sculptures.
Yeah,
than
for
that.
sure.
Fuck
Yeah,
me.
exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
This giant plasticine sort of looking head.
it's
So
such
strange.
a strange. Like, I don't know if she'd been touching his face or if he had.
I think
like,
wasn't that the
bumps
idea?
or
Do
something.
they actually show that in the video of her like touching his face? They
Not
must.
Sure. Not sure.
Surely, because otherwise it makes no sense that she can't use like sound waves. She's not using like echolocation to work out what Lionel Richie's big head looks
Yeah.
like.
What the fuck? Yeah. So funny, man. So do your best.
Do your best.
Yeah.
We got to fucking get back on that video train.
Yeah.
We've got to edit everything.
Edit everything. You said that you were editing a lot of.
Today I was editing a clip of me looking at someone's ass being massaged in a psychic convention.
Yeah. Yeah. that's a
I'm
good day.
almost there with the rhythm of it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's annoying. I was talking about editing the other day, and it's such a finicky little thing, going back and forth on little tiny little minute clips.
Enough to make you go mad.
It is enough to make you go mad, and I have spent days at a time trying to get exactly right, the right bits and everything. And I'm kind of using a bit of divination really to do it. I'm not an expert, by any means. Using software that anyone can download.
Yeah.
Nothing too sophisticated. But it is fucking satisfying when you actually get the cut right. When
it's an amazing satisfaction. It's probably the same satisfaction that a golfer would get when he hits the ball the way he wanted to.
It's just boom, like
and it
straight
makes the
in,
perfect sound.
Yeah, and you can want to almost rewatch it back endlessly, and like every time you see it, you're like, yeah, and it always gets funnier. And then what I really like about editing as well is that after a while of not seeing it, you watch it back again, and you can just kind of enjoy it again. Because I've heard like almost with fresh eyes.
Yeah,
I've heard like Johnny Depp never watches his own movies, classics. What he said anyway.
I mean, I believe him.
I can believe him. Yeah, he's too fucking busy and fucking wasted.
Yeah. Way too busy. Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
But he's outside the premiere, isn't he? That's what he's doing. But and I've heard that about directors before, that they find it hard to like watch back their movies. But I think it's somehow different if you've edited it together, because you're kind of watching the flow. I'm almost not really looking at what we're seeing. I'm looking at the way that it
Yeah, the way that it cuts together. Yeah,
Exactly.
The sync of everything. Yeah, there's you can imagine all the editors are just like, I fucking love this movie.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
edit it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like I've watched like films with girls before where I've been like, oh, that's a beautiful shot, or like I really like the way that faded into that, and they're like, this must be fucking hard work for you to like watch movies like that.
Oh, because you're constantly thinking about the way it's cut from there to
yeah,
there.
it's almost like I'm not really losing myself to the great fantasy of the movie.
Yeah.
I'm sort of seeing it on multiple levels. I'm like both with the characters and the drama, but I'm also pulled back into like the cold, metallic creation of the thing.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's twos and there's twos and fro's to that. I think there's ups and downs to that for sure, man. Like I mean, I'm like that as well. Like a little bit, not all the time. Like when I'm not thinking about it, and that happens quite a lot with kind of trashy, kind of like sitcom-y stuff. I can just watch it and go like, but like I mean, Scrubs was great at it. With like it's like that stuff. Sometimes I'll be watching something that I really like, and then all of a sudden, the music's just somehow it's just a bit too loud, and it's like this piano piece, and you know what's going to happen because the music's already telling you.
Yeah,
exactly. You're like,
yeah.
Oh, come on, guys.
Oh,
it's almost it. You're like,
it's creating too much of like an obvious prelude to something.
But then at the same time, if that sound is just quite right, like it's going to happen anyway, and you're like, oh, I can't wait for is that thing that I think is going to, and if that going to happen, oh, that's great. That's cool. Yeah. So it's just like this to and fro of like being too, into the edit. It's like it comes with it.
I think it's perhaps this is true of all things though, that like, I mean, as a musician, do you ever feel when you're listening to music that you're listening to it on an analytical level as well as enjoying it?
Yeah, I mean, mostly, I guess. I mean, but that's like the problem with being like a sort of, like a not as good as you want to be and like that kind of thing. Like if you want to, like anyone that does a thing like wants to be, you want to do it and be like the best and for everyone to be like, that was brilliant. And then you'll go, fuck you. You know? It's always this like to and fro. But like I remember when I was younger, especially, like I'd listen to some bands that I just thought were incredible and I'd almost immediately hate them. Because I was like, this is so good. Like, why can't I do that? I mean, that's the ego. But like, you'd be like, and then you can't enjoy it because it's so good.
Exactly.
And you're like, this is terrible.
I unsubscribed from a lot of those kind of online kind of image sharing sites like Tumblr and shit like that when I was quite young, because I realised that it was demotivating me to look at people who were not just better at drawing, but they were drawing things that were way cooler than the things I was drawing.
Proactive.
Yeah,
they're doing so much.
They're coming up with all of this shit all the time, and I was just like, fuck these guys.
Yeah,
and I almost had to deafen the reality that there were people out there who were just so much better than me. Of course, there always is going to be someone.
Literally, there will always be.
But there were so many people who were, and I was like,
unless you're Kyle MacLachlan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then there's no other Kyle MacLachlans out there.
I mean,
you're the top of your Kyle MacLachlan game. That's true. Nobody can do that.
That's it.
Nobody can even do a really good impression of you.
It's not
you know
happening.
what I mean? No, exactly.
No, it's not happening. Yeah.
But no, that's so true, and it's strange. I'm more pissed off though when I meet someone in reality, especially if I don't like them, and they make work that's way better than my work. Then I'm like, okay, well, no, seriously, fuck this guy. Then we're like, no, I actually I despise this man.
Yeah.
I'm like because even if I only vaguely know of them as well, it's just still pisses me off. I'm just like, fuck you.
These are the things that we have to actually. That's the thing. It's important to, because now I'm not so much like that. Now I'll listen to great music and I'm like, that is fucking fantastic. But that comes with like don't you think that when you listen to sort of like like your older peers, like maybe parents or uncles or stuff like that, like they'll be like they might show you a band that are like full of 20-year-olds and be like, listen how great these guys are, and you'll be like, these guys aren't great, they're just young
they're
twats.
Children. Oh, that's definitely a real feeling.
But then as you get older, you're like you start listening to younger bands and you're like, these guys are fantastic. It's like once you get further away from youth, because you know how hard it is during youth to do anything.
There's also the opposite thing that can sometimes happen at a certain age, where if someone like introduces you to a band or you hear a band and they're too old, you're like, these guys are too fucking old. These guys are fucking on their way out.
Oh, for sure.
And there's this weird thing where where's the sweet spot where you can kind of listen to. I mean, it would be crazy if we went to see a band and they were all 18. like there seems to be something odd about that.
Yeah, but when they're brilliant, and and there's something. I think I was thinking about this earlier. I remember talking about that. There's something so brilliant about like sort of youthful art movement. You know, like 18-year-olds to like maybe like mid-20s, late 20s. Like something so good about it that keeps what I think it is. It's that like. When you're young, you know fuck all, right? And when you're old, you know that when you're young, you know fuck all. Yeah. But you don't know that until you're old. Yeah. So when you're young, you know fuck all, but you think you're you think you know everything. Mm-hmm. And so there's something so brilliant about that will keep like not just, it's not talent really. It is obviously, but there's something so great about that naive self-belief and like the desire to just carve out something and be like, no matter what I do will be fucking brilliant because I'm fucking brilliant and everyone else is old and they're all cunts. You know, and there's something so great about that, but the majority of people get it totally wrong. So when a band comes out and they actually are brilliant and they are like 20, you're like, whoa, like that, it's happened. It's happened. There's one.
For sure. Yeah.
You know, because then like 4 years later, you're like, oh right, look, they've now realised they're like the rest of us. Yeah. On a mortal coil, and they will die.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's the end. You know?
I think also the thing is that even though you know teenagers generally are jaded by certain things, and you know in life, you know, you get a lot of like sad teenagers, which is it's a serious thing. But generally, most young people haven't been jaded by the same things or to the same extent that adults have.
Yes, totally. That's the other point.
And so they're
not jaded in that way. They don't have it.
It's like in the Garden of Eden before they've eaten the fruit of knowledge. Yeah. And then they're contaminated. Oh, it's like before that point they're just fucking frolicking around and doing whatever. They're fucking. They just think everything's great. They're fucking like they're like stroking shit in the
said
woods.
That twice. You're like fucking. They're fucking.
They're just doing all sorts of nice stuff.
And everything's brilliant and new.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
It. Everything's brilliant and new.
Yeah, it's so new, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh no, the knowledge. They're like, oh no, all these things, and life is finite and things like that. Yeah. And oh shit, and like she's a woman, I'm a man, and like
they realise that their parents are just people that accidentally had them. Yeah. And they're like, what?
No, yeah. Oh. It's the even worse one is when you sit beside your parents and you realise you're like, I'm an adult and they're an adult too, and there's no one to like protect us now.
Exactly.
Like we're all in this is it, and it's like,
that's it. No. You're all in Plato's cave together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like when you're
it's all fucking terrible shadows out there, man.
It's so true.
Brutal.
But also, it's a classic, perhaps in many ways it's a cliche, but the idea that a lot of people say that your talent kind of peaks when you get to a certain age, like somewhere between like 25, 26 or something is kind of when, if it doesn't go beyond that point, and then things are going to start going downhill. Now, I don't believe that at all. There's plenty of artists who got famous a lot later on, and,
mostly writers.
Mostly writers as well. But the point is there is definitely some kind of pizzazz. There's some kind of fucking...
Yeah, when it comes to music, especially.
Yeah.
When it comes to music, it's
like fertile times.
Yeah,
virile.
Yeah.
When
it comes, music. Yeah, the other things can be, like, I mean, I'm sure there's lots of musicians that were great when they're older. I can't think of any right now, so maybe not. And music is the one that is like the 27 Club as well, isn't it?
Of course. So it actually peaks at that point.
So that's what a lot of people say. Like maybe like you get past 27, and you're like, oh, I made it. Fuck, I'm not a legend.
I was even saying, exactly. I was saying the other day.
I bet so many fucking people of our era think that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
you're like, oh no, yeah.
I thought I was going to miss
I remember Lana Del Rey saying that. It's like she was like 28 or 29, and someone was like, "How does it feel being 29?" She was like, "I wish I was dead already."
Yeah.
It's like, fucking hell, Lana, all right. Yeah. But now she's doing albums where she's like smiling on the front cover, so things have changed.
Oh yeah, things do change. You get to, that's what 25-year-olds don't realise. You get to fucking 35 and you're like, it's cool.
Yeah, exactly. All of a sudden you're cherubic Kim Jong-un outside your armoured train. You're like, fuck it. You're fat and you're happy.
Yeah, exactly, man.
You got enough wine to keep you warm at night. Yeah. But what was I going to say? I was going to say something else profound. I've forgotten. Do you think this is the 40-minute mark?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do the end. Should we end here? Let's do it. Get back to it next week. Should we do a slow version?
Yeah, let's do it. You do it. You start. Climbed a mountain, ever caught a fish, ever looked to the stars and made a wish, ever shot a bow and arrow in the dead of night, ever read a map, ever flew a kite, ever moved a fire, ever sang a song, ever tried to run a marathon, ever put yourself to the test. Do your best.
Pleasure.
Beautiful.